For the inside of our cover of the Genevieve album, we're going to make on one side the accordion. There's going to be 3 of the accordion pockets. So you want to cut 3 pieces there, 10 by 7.5. So after you get your 3 pieces at 10 by 7.5, we're going to go ahead and score 1/2 inch. Let me just pull up the sleeves here. Sorry. And then we're going to score 1/2 inch again. And then we want to score at 5 on all 3 pieces. These are fun because it gives it a little bit of dimension, and then it also adds 3 accordion pockets that we're going to put our folders in that more pictures can go in. Now, first thing I like to do is I go ahead and do my folding. I want to fold in half, and I want to stay in camera for you. Let's go ahead and do, it seems like I'm way off today on the camera. Let's see. There. And I have to do that with the Cartabella paper because it is a lot stronger. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up. Score tape will go on the inside here, and we're actually going to cut this bottom off. And it is best to do it, well, for me, by hand. I'm going to be using that, but it's sure in the way. So I'm going to take my 3/8 inch tape. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut on the inside of my, sorry, I'm tape stuck, on the inside of my score line. You may even have to trim a little bit more. So see, you won't even see it. Now you're going to go at an angle. I flip it over. It's just easier for me to cut. Then when I fold this up, you want to just check because you want it to lay flat. Now, I have to show you something. Sometimes with that angle, I have to pull that corner over a little bit more because I don't want that gap there, even though we're going to cover these ends with paper. But that just happens sometimes when you cut it. There. Just pull it over a little bit more. Now the top, I'm going to angle it just a hair. Remove the backing for our score tape. There we have the first pocket. Now on the back side, you know, I guess I apologize, should have done this before I started. There's my ruler. I found it. So my ruler is about 2 inches. So I just take it down, or you can, however you want to measure. You can just measure the good old-fashioned way. But mine, I really need a new one. It's starting to wear off. It's time for a new one. And I'm just going to mark 1/2 inch. 1.5 inches, sorry, 1.5 inches, just lightly with my pencil. So we're going to repeat, fold in half, then your sides. Now, when we go to cover, we're just going to cover the ends of these. We won't be covering all 3 of them. We'll just cover the front of one, and then we'll cover the sides. So you can decide if you want it to be all the same paper. We only have to cut 1-inch strips. For our ends. And these are really fun to put in your albums. Now, if you fold the half inches over and you're getting a little bit of a bulkiness, you need to probably trim that bottom piece off just a hair more. Because you just want it to lay there nicely and lay flat. Okay, and once again, we'll measure about 1.5 inches. Just draw your line. And number 3. And it's totally up to you. You can add more of these, or you can just do 2 of these to your album. And when I do baby albums, I really like to use these. And I like to do a set in the front and a set in the back, And I usually, I like to do the first year. So I'll do 6 in the front and 6 in the back. You just, if you're going to do something like this, you just have to remember your album cover needs to, in your spine, you really need to use more of a 1/2 inch on your pages so that you have room for the bulkiness that this causes. You need a little bit bigger of a spine. So I just make 1/2 inch gussets on my albums when I'm adding a lot of these. So I know I have plenty of room inside the album cover. Okay, and once again, 1.5 inches on the back side. So when we put these together, and it doesn't matter which one's front or back, when we put these together, see, we will have this accordion effect, and they'll all be attached. So we want to, this is just going to be covered. So you'll decide what you want to cover this with. Then we need to cut 2 for each page. And you can, I just usually go I go 1 inch or 1.5 inches because we just need to cover it. So, sorry, I need to move the cat off my cover. Come here, kitty. And you're going to end up with a 5 inch. So you need to have 5 inches in length. And I just cut it the 1/8 of an inch short again. Let me see where we're at here. I'll just use my little cutter. And then I want 1 inch strips. Now, I'm just going to go ahead with, let me show you. I've used the front and the back. That way I just have to use 1 piece of paper. And I'm going to cut 4 1 inch strips. And we need to score these in half. That's not one of them. So I'm going to score these 2 for 1, and I'll turn it over so that I don't have I have the indent going in. And then it's totally up to you. If you want to go ahead, all you need to do though, because the other 2 ends there are going to be inside, so I usually don't worry about inking those, but I do like to ink the top and the bottom. Okay, let's go ahead and fold them in half. Get a good crease. And I like to use my 3/8. So remember, let's see, our first one. See, the first one you're going to cover with a pattern paper. So it's totally up to you. One thing I've done is I do the 5, I'll do it 5.5. Well, you got to add 1/2 inch on each side. So I'll make it 6 inches long, score it 1/2 and 1/2, and then bend it over. And I'll show you what I mean by that, but it's pretty simple. So I'm just going to set my top cover aside. I'm going to lay that right in there. Make sure everything's straight. Now the best thing to do is just hold that pretty tight. Then I remove my top piece, then I'll do my back piece. That way I know it's nice and straight. And you'll have just, you know, a little bit at the bottom. So I'm going to just push it up there, hold it down. Okay, that's all there is to that. Now see, when we put it together, it'll look like the page is covered, pretty much. Oh, and I forgot, if you want, you can do, if you want to ink this edge after you put it, on, you can do that. Actually, you can do anything you want. And I'm getting ready to make another one of these accordions, but larger. I made a large one just using a full sheet of 12 by 12. Attached it together, and I made a receipt file folder. And it sits upstairs on the desk. I just love it. So you can do a lot with this little design. Repeat. Now for our front cover, oops, I better finish this before I talk. That one a little high, but it's okay. I was talking and it moved. I'll just trim that up. Okay, for my cover. So that's right, 6.5. So I'm going to cut 7.5 by 5. So don't listen to those last minute measurements. So the piece of paper will be 7.5 by 5. I won't deduct on the 7.5. I'll make it the full 7.5, but then I'll make it like 4 7/8. So we'll pick out our paper for that. I'm going to use my birds because on this one I didn't use the bird cover. And a full 7.5. Let me check my top to bottom. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and on each side score it the 1/2. That's if you want to go ahead and wrap your edges. And sometimes it doesn't fit right. Because, there we go. Go ahead and I would only score it at 3/8, not half. I mean, I don't quite score it at half. Just go between the quarter and the half. And if you've already done it and I messed you up, go ahead and just lay it down like I did and manually fold it, and you'll be fine. You might have just a little crease there that we're going to be decorating, so nobody will see it. Now what you'll want to do, what I usually do, is I just take my 3/8 and I just stick one edge down, making sure we're going to be even. But before I do that, let's go ahead and ink the top and the bottom. And if you stuck it down, that's okay. You can still, I'll show you, you can still get your inking in there. Push that down. Now I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'll do my 1/4 inch top and bottom. And 3/8 of an inch will go in my score line. I'm just checking things because I did that little goof. We'll go ahead and remove our top and bottom. It'll go right down. There you go. Now you have a nice finished edge to your front one, and it'll match on your sides. And don't worry, if you did like I did and you have a little crease there, that's what ribbon's for. Now what we want to do is, we don't have to worry about this one. Well, I told you the wrong side. On this one, we need one on the front and the back. Or you can put it here, totally up to you, but we're going to be putting these two together. So it doesn't matter if the tape goes here or here. I'm going to use the 3/8. Now, I just go along that 1.5 inch, and then I'm coming up the side of the pattern paper, and up this side. I'm going to go across and then just put a few more because there's going to be tension on our page as it accordions. And we're going to stick these two guys together. Now, this is our front, this is the second page. So however you're comfortable, if it's lying down, I usually stand mine up because you have that little bit of a play at the bottom where there's no tape that you can line things up. And once you feel they're lined up, then we just put them together, go in with the bone folder, and make sure everything's down. Now we have two pockets. Now we're going to do the same here. I get ink everywhere and I don't know how. And again, let's put another 1.5. Or you can put it on the back side of here. Same thing. Now remember, we have that untaped spot down at the bottom, so you can kind of get your bottom lined up. Once you feel it's lined up, go ahead and push it down. I go in with the bone folder. Whoops, turn it over. Mine's off. Well, of course it is, but it's fine. Okay, I'm going to my cutter. Just cut that one edge off. Because I have this doll cutter, oh, there's my cat. For some reason, sorry about the kitty. I was able to go ahead and cut my top off and trim it because I can put it in my dolly cutter, and it will go through all this thickness. That's one reason I love it. Now we're going to attach this to the cover. So for the inside, choose your adhesive. I'll just probably go here with my 1/2 inch. And it's going to be on the back. Mine's going on the front. So you can decide. Remember, my album's backwards. So you can put this actually front or back. Both of these elements that we're making are being made to go either, which is a really good thing since I did my album backwards. So I'm just making it for a left-handed person. So if you, on your album, this will be you'll have more space on your front cover. And for this, I am going to do a 1-inch marking from the bottom. I just want it straight, but I'm going to cover that little mark, so not a problem. Or you can even just lay your ruler there as you're putting it on. And we're just going to take the back off. Remember, you don't want tape down at the bottom because that's what makes this an accordion. Sorry, I'm just getting my tape into the garbage, my tape covers. So we're just going to put it down, and you have that dead space again at the bottom with no tape. Gives you time to line things up. And you just go in the back with your bone folder or your hand. And let me hold this up. Now you have your accordion pockets. And we'll be making the tags to go in there. I love these in albums, and see it adds, this is why we have such a larger area, a larger hinge, so that we have room, because see, that starts to take up space in our album. Then when we put our tags in, it'll take up even more. So now we need to go through and do our front. Move this out of the way. Okay, for the inside of the cover, we're going to be making this pop open or fold out. I don't really know the the full name, but we'll be using some of the blue seam binding. And like I mentioned, if you have the kit, then this came in the kit. Or you can use any ribbon that you have anywhere in your stash. But I made one, and so we'll go ahead and get the other one made. Before we go ahead with this, I want to show you and with your seam binding. So let me go ahead, and I'm just going to grab a piece. So it's not going to be navy blue. I've got mine all crinkled and ready to go. So if you've never really played with seam binding, you don't have to get it wet if you don't want to. What I do sometimes if I'm in a hurry, but this isn't going to really be as crinkly. It will be at first, but it won't stay. So you can just roll it in your hands, and your hands kind of need to be warm, and it'll start to crinkle. But what I like to do is take my spritzing bottle, move my paper, I don't want to get wet. I'm just going to go ahead and spritz it because it doesn't take much. And that's what I love about being able to just have all the colors. There's no having to dye it. There's no having to get your hands messy. And so you can buy it in all those colors at my store at Country Craft Creations, and then you don't have to get your hands such a mess. And it's like 100 yards on a spool. And I'm working on getting it sold so that you can buy it by the yard. It's just my website wasn't cooperating. So I'm going to open it after I crinkle it. Now what I'm going to do, you can also take a rubber band, but I just open it, a piece out, and I'm just going to wrap it around, and I'm going to set it aside. If you have a heat tool, then you can just go ahead and heat it and get it nice and dry, or you can just let it sit overnight. I'll just put it somewhere where I know it's going to dry, and then when you take it out, you'll have the nice crinkled vintage look. And I've also taken it and I'll crinkle it, and then I put it in my oven if I'm doing a lot of it. I put it on my oven 200 and kind of bake it, and that'll get it done really fast too. That's if I'm doing a large amount. So for this, what you're going to want to do is cut a base one. Yeah, that's the base. And I cut it 6 by 4. My intent is to use the cut apart sheet, and it's right here. Oh, I thought it was right here. It's one of your sheets. You have the cut apart sheets. Here it is. And I can't remember if this was some of the extras, but I think this was. So I'm going to be using this one and this one, but you can use, and you can just use your paper. So I think this was one of the extras, the 3 that were left out of your paper collection. So, and again, these are available if you want to buy them separate. So I'm going to just cut these down a little bit, but I needed to cut these 4 by 6 exactly so that it will fit on my inside cover. So that's our base. Then you need 2 of them that are 4 by 6.5. And you need 2 that are 4.5 by 6. So we'll start with our 4 by 6.5. What we're going to do with these is we want to put it here along the 6.5 inch, and we're going to just score 1/2 inch on those. And on our 4.5 by 6, we're going to put it up here at the 4.5, so width, and we're going to score it 1/2. So you'll be going down this way. You'll have a long one instead of a cross. Okay, now we can go ahead and fold it up. So I'll do my 2 on the end first. So these are going to attach on this way. So you'll want to put your score tape on the inside because we're going to attach these around to the back. And I should have mentioned one of the decorating elements that we're going to use. You should have it in your house. You're going to need a toilet paper roll. And I take all mine out of my rolls before I even put them in the bathroom. I know some people are funny about toilet paper rolls. And so if you are, when your rolls come, my husband doesn't even ask anymore what I'm doing. I just squish the roll and pull these out. Now, you can go ahead and make this out of cardstock, but the thing with using these is they're so strong and sturdy, and it makes that cute pop-up look, and that's why I like to use them. So you'll want a paper toilet roll if you have some. If you don't, you know what, don't worry about it. You can go ahead and construct it out of your cardstock. So I like to just line these up, and you're going to bring the flap to the back. Make sure we're good top and bottom. Make sure everything's in there all the way. And then you remove your score tape and push it down. And open it up, and then let's do it the same thing to this other side. Make sure it's down. So now it will open up like this. Now we're going to put the piece that we scored the long way. See, it'll go this way. And again, just center it. Make sure it's centered. Now it's going to appear to be a little bit short to you, and that's okay. You want it to be on the ends, because when you fold it, you don't want it not folding correctly. Now I just need to redo, let's see. It's not quite over there, so I'm going to make it go over there. And make sure that will shut correctly, and it does, so we're good. And we'll do the same thing with this. Once again, make sure it's where it belongs. And then go ahead and really burnish the back. Okay, so the bottom, and then I went side to side and down. Now we want to put that seam binding or your ribbon, whichever you would like. Now if you're using the seam binding, you might want to use your yellow. I had used yellow before, because you do need a piece for the front. And I'm not sure how much you have left over if you were using the paper kit part, and so you need a piece for the front. But you can use yellow on the front also. So once you get that where you like it, move it around. Then I turn mine over. Oh, and make sure you have a flat back, which I don't. Oh my goodness, my cat. Okay, since this doesn't want to lay flat on its own, sometimes it won't where we crinkled it. I'm just going to put a piece of score tape back there while I twist. There we go. I want to make sure I have a flat back when I go to adhere it down. If you see a paw, this cat is going crazy over the string here, or the ribbon. He might jump into the video. Yep, because he's going to come after this string. So I'm going to turn it over, and with any size score tape that you want to adhere it down, I'm just using my 1/2 inch because I grabbed it. Hold on, here, kitty. I don't know if you saw that he did reach in and grab it. And I'm just going to put 2 more down. And let's bring our book over. Now, you're not going to have much room. And I put mine over to the left a little bit. Let's see if I can straighten up here. I put mine over to the left. You can center it and then put them both, but I didn't want to do that. Oh, and make sure you're putting it the right direction. I want mine to be a little off. So your first one, you should put almost to the top of that paper, but not over your book. And your next one will sit almost to the bottom of this paper. So I'm going to have mine, excuse me, diagonal of each other. Remove the score tape. Like I mentioned, this album, the paper, just reminds me of, you know, very vintage, very old. My grandmother had the blue and, you know, blue and white dishes, and it just reminds me of letters, grandma's letters. And so I wanted everything to, with the envelopes, to kind of look that part. So when we open this, you will need to open it and then go in with your bone folder and make sure everything is down. And then we can tie that shut. Okay, now we can decorate these. Well, I'm going to go ahead and decorate. So I'm going to do one of my cut-aparts. And like I said, if you don't have these because of the kit, then you should have another sheet, or you can just use your paper. Sorry, I'm just walking over to my other stack of papers here. Then you will have, yeah, I believe you do have this one. But they didn't really make any 4x6s except for these, and you can cut these down if you want, the 4x6. I think this one's so cute. But I'm going to be using these in my pockets, especially these two. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and cut these off, and I'm going to get, I'll go ahead and decorate one, and we'll come back, because you're going to want to decorate the inside and the out. And I'm actually going to do the inside of mine, and I'm really actually excited. Isn't it crazy how we get excited over paper with the new Cartabella, the navy blue? So I want my flaps to be in the navy blue, and I'll get all this cut, and when we come back, we can get it put together. I went ahead and I've got the bottom one done. And let me show you that Cartabella navy blue. I'm just amazed. It matched so well. And it has that linen texture just like, well, just the papers come in linen or the felt like your white. And it looks great. I love it. Easy to work with, and it's so strong. And one thing about their cardstock is it's been dyed all the way through. So you don't have to ink the edges because it's a complete dye through. They've dyed it a lot of times. They told me that's why the price went up a little bit, which I was sad, but now I'm addicted. And I can't wait now to make albums in colors. Right now they came in, I've got the gray, the red, the navy blue, and black. So I was a basil person until it started shredding on me, and that's when I found Cartabella, and I thought, this is incredible stuff. Okay, this one's going to be my front. I'm going to go ahead and start with the inside. I did get my birds cut. I've been wanting to save that off the corner of the paper. Bring this up a little bit more. And I'll admit, these little fold out things are easier to decorate flat. It's just I wanted to get them in the book for you to see, but they are easier, I think, to decorate when they're flat before you put them on. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do my patterns first. And all of the inside of mine will be the navy blue. To admit, this white is a little hard to see where it ends and starts. Then my next flap. And you should have plenty of leftover that you were able to cut your 4x6 from our envelope pieces. So what I did is I just took a strip of 4-inch, and then I was able to get 2 pieces front and back. So if you have to cut one of your 12x12s, you're only cutting a 4-inch strip off. Okay, now the inside. Will be the navy blue, and that will be a nice background for pictures or even recipes. I think this book would double nicely as a recipe album. Sorry, it's just hard to see that white. And see, this is what I mean by it's easier. Makes it a lot nicer to do it flat. There we go. So there's the inside. And you'll notice it is a little bit tight because you've added more paper. So I hope you left plenty of string. Because yeah, your bow will need to be a little bigger. And there we have our inside cover. Now for my pockets. Let's go ahead and make the tags for that, because I'm actually doing them as a folder. And remember, we have a 5" by 6.5, but we don't quite want it that wide. And you're going to do 3 of them. And so they're going to be, I'm going to cut mine 10 1/4 long, one a little bit longer. And I'm going to go just about 6 1/4. So 6 1/4 by 10 1/4. If you don't want to do them that big and use 2 sheets of paper, that's okay too. You can do them single. Now we're just going to go ahead and score this in half. I like my other bone folders for scoring. And it's going to be 5 1/8. So if you have your scoreboard in 8ths, it's just marked for you. Let me show you this first one. So I want to show you 2 different things. Oh, we may have to go just a hair shorter. Yeah, let me take a little bit off my width. So I'm just going to go to 6. So I just cut that off. I don't like my tags getting stuck. Now also, I want to show you, you can also have it hang over. And if you do that, then that's nice to take one of your cut aparts. Of course, this one's kind of big, and you can use it as your cover. So you can also have them both ways. You can have it, my cat needs to stop jumping up here. You can have one that you can have it hang over, or we'll fold it in half and like a booklet, and it can go in. And we're going to put a little tab there. So you can decide how you want yours. So I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 more. The same length, but I'm going to take them down to 6. I got my papers all cut, and then I went ahead, we did the score, folded them over, and I went ahead and did my insides because I did the blue. And then I wanted to show you, now the package, the collection package, does come with stickers, so I did put one at the bottom, and I'll put some more on here. And then what I did is, this was one of the chipboard elements, but I did cover it with the pattern paper. So this is for the first one. Let me grab the book. So this is going to go in, but that will fit over the top. And it keeps it from, you know, dropping in too far, and then it's easy to grab. And then the second one, I'm going to use another one of the chipboard elements. It'll be the circle, and it won't, you know, there's nothing to hang it over the edge, so we won't worry about putting it over the edge. And I went ahead and cut my pattern paper because I'm doing the front and the back, and I wanted to go ahead and get the score tape on while we weren't on camera. So I just cut it. Now this, I actually went down 1/4 inch. I wanted more of the white border. And then the back side. And then again, I will cover the back of the chipboard button that I'm using that came with the chipboard package, because it is just, it's white. I guess you could leave it if you wanted. Actually, that's fine because of the white paper. So I'm just going to, you know, I want it to be pretty much in the middle. It's going to make a little tick mark right there. Now, when I do these, I actually do use my hot glue gun for that. I'm just going to put some down here at the bottom. get that off before it sets in. Base. And so now when you're covering, of course, you could leave it white inside and still put pictures in. But there's, in these 3 pockets, room for 12 more pictures. So you can start to see how this is going to hold a lot of pictures. And there's still more room in these pockets. So there's our, see the middle tab. And it'll be easy to grab a hold of. And then I'm going to put the 3rd flag. Whoops, might help if I put it down so you can see. Sorry. So see, you'll be able to grab a hold of it. So we'll go ahead with this one now. This is the one I'm using from the chipboard, the little flag, and it's going to go more at the end. And I'll put the blue on the front and the yellow on the back. And there's writing. You want to make sure it's not upside down. And then it's up to you, but I'm thinking the white actually is just fine. I'm just deciding how much I want to stick up. I'm going to make a mark on the back. Grab my hot glue gun, and you can use glue. You could even use the score tape. Make sure. Straighten it up. Sure none squished out of the top. And then once it's down, we could go ahead and put it into our pocket. And then you have your 3 tabs. Now, it's totally up to you. I'm not going to be putting anything up here, only because when we pulled these out, and I had put these beads on the last one, and then I wasn't too thrilled that I had done it because they got knocked around. So if you want to put a border up there, I would go ahead and go with maybe one of the sticker borders that came in the collection, one of these, and that way it's going to lay flat and you won't have to worry about it getting knocked off. And, you know, actually that might look pretty nice. It does. So I'm going to actually go ahead and use this one. And with the stripes there, I'm pretty confident I can probably cut it straight across. Put this back on the paper. Double check here. Let's cut it off a little bit more. Oh, it ripped. I didn't even pull on that. Let's see if we can go back together. Well, we're going to try this. Line that up at the top. Sorry, I just need to bring the book up out of the camera. It's like that just peeled right off that back. So I left some of that on the front. And it shows. So I think what I'll do is, let's just see how things are going. Maybe we'll put I will think about that. We'll figure out what I'm going to do. But that does, that I like that. It just separates all that whiteness. And then we've got front of this to decorate. And I'm going to wait because, see, we're going to be pushing down. And I don't want to be pushing down on it. Now on here, I've already taken all my little elements apart. So it's time to just get them all out. I usually take them apart when I first get them, so I'm not fumbling on the paper. And I really like the little bird there. You can have him coming up, but he is kind of made to go down. And then one of the postage stamps. And I just need to get in the light. Yeah, he goes this way. And again, I'm just going to go ahead, and you can actually put a pop dot on there if you want to pop it up a little bit. Just going to use the hot glue. And I love this new Elmer's glue gun because it gives you time. It doesn't like dry immediately, so you have a little bit of time to maneuver it. And then the postage stamp. Okay, now's the time you're going to want to get out your favorite border punch. We're going to be making our mats, and I'm going to use the border punch to decorate the edges of our tags. And so you're going to want your favorite border punch, maybe your corner punch, and then we can get started on our tags. This is the first mat that I'm going to do for the first page, and our pages are the 7.5 by, let's get in the camera here, by about 5.5. So I cut my mat just 6 and 7/5, and then it is 5.5, and I can trim it later. What I'm going to do is use one of my Martha Stewart. It's the wide border punch, and you don't have to use a wide one. You can use a short one. This one's a little stiff. So one thing that I like to do is I like to do my punches, and sometimes I'll just leave it like that. And then I'll go ahead and oh gosh, help me think here. Sorry. Then I'll go all the way around it and then fill in with my paper. And this punch is a little different. Make sure. I like this punch, but I really have to line things up perfect. But I love the way it looks. And then again, you don't even have to punch your papers if you don't want to. Like I said, this one's a little touchy if you don't get it just right. There we go. And then one more. more. Let's find a line-up spot. Okay. And then when I cut my paper, it'll be the 1/8 inch shorter, but I'm only going to cut it at 4 because I don't want to cover, excuse me, I don't want to cover that border. And so I'm just going to choose one of the papers that will look good with what I already have in there. And I really like this yellow, so I'll go ahead and cut it down to size. And then I am going to cover the back side. So and what I'm going to try and do first is use, of course, we're going to use up what we have. Sorry, I just got to move some things around. And then cut it down to size. And then we'll just put that on the back side. And because we made those cute little pockets and the shorter belly bands, this is where you'll be able to use like some of your leftover cardstock, because they aren't going to be the full size photo mats. And I'm going to make some smaller tags. Now you can all go ahead and use like the pre-made graphic 45 tags, any kind of tags, but I like to make my own. It saves money too. And then again, I can make the tags the size that I want. Now remember, as you're cutting your tags, make sure you keep all, especially if you're going to make your flowers, keep all the small pieces, because we'll punch those. Okay, let's put the tag down in, and then you have that really pretty border, and it sticks up just a hair on the other side. So this is one that I was talking about. Now we can make a tag that goes right in, but let's see. Get out some of my scrap pieces here from when I was cutting the cover, and I just have, you know, tons of these already cut small pieces. And we'll look at that one that fits perfect. That will fit right in there. I'm going to cut that to fit, and then for the pocket, wow, you couldn't get a better fit than that. Then I'll probably have the 2 other tags, or you can just go ahead with just 1, or maybe 1 will be enough. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one down to 5. It's 5 inches long. Don't have to do much more. And you can go ahead and like cut off your edges to make it look you know, like an actual tag. Let me bring this over. I feel like I'm going out of camera a lot. Sorry. And I like to use my crocodile. And I'm just going to take my stub end. And then that gives it a nice look there. And this, it's up to you if you want to go ahead and do a smaller border punch. I'm just going to leave it. Better put my book this way so I can still use my cutter. So the first one, you'll go ahead and cut the size to fit your mats. Oops, that'll be better. And I'm just, once again, just using all the little pieces that, you know, we had left over. See what fits, what matches the paper. And I have to move the cat. See, that's going to be not wide enough. There we go, much better. And I know the decorating part is, it gets to be a little more, you know, kind of boring because we all have our own idea of how you want to decorate. And so I might be a little more quiet during this process. Now on these tags, I'm going to go ahead and leave them. I'm going to cut off just a little more on the sides. I'm going to leave the back plain so that there's journaling room. And then I just might be using, if I can get my cat to move, if I can, I'm going to be using some of the new navy blue cardstock by Cardabella that came in because it really goes well with this paper. Just recut that. And I'll be tying some ribbon or seam binding at the top of some of these. And on these tags and mats, I'm only going to do a couple just to give you an idea, you know, of what I'm going to do in mine, because this part can be, you know, pretty boring. And like I said, it's very simple once you know how to make, you just make your mats for personal, how you like them. And I'm going to use the crocodile and just punch my hole in the center. And you can put, you know, you can go ahead and put a rivet there if you'd like something else. And I'm just going to take my ribbon through. And usually when I'm using seam binding, I don't put a rivet in because it's not a heavy ribbon, so I'm not worried about pulling it through. I shouldn't say that. Then I'll pull it through. Just cut those off. And you can crinkle it or just leave it if you'd like. So I'll have that one sitting there. And then I'll cover this one and it'll sit right there. And then here I'm going to do the same as I did here. And again, we'll just pick one that is smaller. Let's see. But it will also, remember, fit behind our pocket. Oh, I like those. And I'll probably, I'm just going to lay them all out. Let me get one that's a little bit thinner. It'll sit more here on the side. And then this will be another large one. I'll go back and just cover everything. And then here I'm just going to leave. That's our magnet. But we're going to come back and do some decorating. Again, that will be another nice big one. And here I'm just going to leave. Oh no, we put the magnet there. That's right. We were going to put a tag. So, see how big of one I want. Maybe a little bit longer. That's right. We need to put a magnet on this one. And you do or you don't. It's totally up to you. Now, if you want to do the magnet, I'm going to use a small one for this. Should be enough to hold it. Because it doesn't have to be really heavy. So I just put my small magnet down till it caught the big magnet. Remove the backing. Well, it looks like it's just going to come with it. So, and I know that Basic Gray has redone their magnets, and they've done a better job at putting a different backing on, a different adhesive, they told me. And it does. I've noticed that with the large ones. So now we'll have the magnet on the back side. So when you open your page, see, it will stay. And you will want to cover both front and back. Again, on here, I'm just going to cut 2 tags, and I'm going to do them very similar to what I did on our other one. I'll cut the corners. Then I just want 2 tags sticking up from there. Another one will be just a nice, maybe a couple of them. Slide in there. And then we will go ahead and start on our decorating process. That way, that's very simple. You can go back and grab those and decorate them. But I'm just going to leave my little mats in so I remember. Turn that one to the side. And we are going to go ahead now and do the cover. And then we'll come in here and do the flowers. And how on earth... Oh, that's right. Every time I pick this up, I get turned around because it's my left-handed album. So go ahead and grab your scraps. And there's some things that you're going to want when you're making flowers. Of course, you want your scraps. So I'm going to put them all there. And then you're going to want flower punches, of course. And you can pick up a couple of different sizes. Whoops, I'm going to throw them at the camera. So, here's what we'll do. I'm going to do a couple of them with you. And then when I come back, you should have about, I'd say a good 20 of them made. So that you have enough for your cover, because I did 2 of the large ones for my cover. So we'll go ahead and make the cover flowers. We're going to go ahead and make these 2 cover flowers. And then I did 3 of the smaller ones. And that's what we're going to put on the cover. And I like to use, of course, a foam. Because when you're pushing down on your flowers, it's important that you do have it. Now, if you don't have one of these, that's fine. Another one that I really like, this was actually on an iPad. These are wonderful, and I keep these. So anytime one of these, I see them, I grab them because they're great. Now, if you don't have one of these instruments with a ball, you can use one of these pins, a ballpoint pin, as long as you have somewhat of a rounded edge. Like this one's perfect. Crochet hooks will work. And your fingers. So let's get started. Oh, and you're going to want a spray bottle. And I am going to use, let's see, some sugar. And I had these brand new ones that just came in. So I'm going to use the sugar spray by Bo Bunny, Glimmer Spray. This one's the sugar, and it also comes in gold. And this is what I had used on the front of the album when I did the distressing of one of the cut aparts. So, and this is fun stuff. Okay. So we've got everything together, and I'm going to start with the cover. So, it really doesn't matter which ones you're going to make or use, because they're all the same. They're going to be interchangeable. And with my largest punch, I have a mess here. So I'm going to go through on my large punch, and I'm going to punch out about 20 of these, not the same color, just a bunch of different. And then with my smaller one, then you can go ahead and I would say punch out 20 of the large, 20 of the big, and then just keep your small one handy. And another one that I really like to use is this one, and it actually matches. And then this was the big one by EK Success, and then I do like these two smaller ones. So let's go ahead and get a bunch of flowers punched out, and then we will get started making our flowers. Okay, I'm going to start with the big one. So I have a pile right here. I just have a pile of them because you can mix and match. You know, they don't have to be perfect. I mean, perfectly the same for each one. Now for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a mister. So it doesn't matter, you know, what you have for your little spray bottle. Just spray them a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just pinching that very tip. So I'm just bringing the tip together. Now the reason I like mine to be wet, I don't always, but when they dry, they get kind of hard, as you've noticed with our ruffles. And I like the way it gives it that really shabby look, especially for this kind of this album where we've done some shabby. And don't worry when you're pinching them, they look funny or not, you know, what you're thinking, because flowers aren't perfect in nature. But they're going to be damp, and some will be more wet than others, so be very careful. Now you can, once again, just like our ruffles, you can go off and let these dry. Or you can have your heat tool. That one's really dry. Just going to run him around in the water. And there's a million ways to make flowers, so you just have to experiment and play with them. So now that we have those like that, I'll just grab my heat tool. Just plug it in. Sorry about that. Oh, and you might want to have your hot glue gun. I like to have my hot glue gun when I'm making these. So have it nice and hot. And hold on to things because they might start flying away. But you'll notice your flower will start to shrink up if you're using a heat tool. Or you can use your blow dryer. See how it starts to curl up if you get your heat down there? So your flower is already starting to take shape. Yeah. Now they're pretty well dry because it's starting to fly all over the place. So I put them on my mat. Now these little guys, I'm going to put on the mat. And like I said, if you don't have the flower tool, but you have a pen that you can push your centers up, that's all you need. You just want to get that shape. And again, the heat tool is wonderful for helping with that, if you can hold it in place. Okay, and we'll just let those dry a little bit more. And I'm just going to take my little ball tool. So you'll see making flowers is really, really easy. And the nice thing is that they go with what you're making. You don't have to worry about colors not matching. Now I like to lay mine out so that I have them pretty much in the order that I want. Otherwise I forget. Glue gun. And I like to start with the next to the last. And then as it's drying, I actually just kind of push down. Once again, everybody has their own method. And I like to use 5 when I'm doing it on the cover. My usually 2 or 3 main flowers, I'll do 5 petals. Not 5 petals, sorry. 5, a stack of 5. Sometimes I'll do 7. And that just depends on how full you want your flower to be. Make sure. Now this one's a little damp, so I want to just dry it. So I'm going to put my hand here to get it to hold still. There we go. Now I'm going to just put these 2 together. And remember to try and stagger your petals. And actually, I probably need a blue. I'm just going to grab a scrap here. And because I don't want to go through getting this one wet, I'm just going to push my edges up together. Whoops. Now, if you want it to have more of a rose center and you're really good at gluing these little tiny things together, you can actually bring your petals all up and glue them more together if you'd like a more closed look. Or you can also put a pearl in there. Put that in the middle. Now see, that one will be one of the big ones. I had this big one, that big one. So it'll be one of the big ones out here on the front. So I'm just going, I'm going to set that one aside. And then I'm going to we're going to make some of the smaller ones that are going to go, let me move that, more on the inside. Well, they all will be going on the inside. For the inside, I like to use more of these smaller ones. And I might use one of the large ones on that back pocket, but we'll see. Now I'm not wetting these down, but I'm just going to go ahead and grab them and pinch my edges. And for the inside, I'm going to just probably like be putting 3 together. The more you put together, the more space you need. And so you might want to do a bunch in yellow. you know, with the blue. So I'm going to make some of the small ones with you, and then I'll get busy and make more of mine. Now you don't even have to push them up with a tool if you don't want to. This is another way. And for, like I said, for the inside of your book, you don't want as much volume, so I don't use quite as many layers. The more volume you have, the more space you need. Now inside, you can do a couple of things. You can use actually glossy accent a dot, makes it look really cute. You can use pearls. You can use buttons. I really like to use the bow bunny. They're different elements because they're so already round and ready to go. And then my next flower, so we've got, I'm going to make a bunch of those. Now I'm just going to also do a bunch that are just somewhat flat. So this is another style. And I just take my bone folder. You can take a couple of different things. You can also use any kind of I like to use these crochet hooks. And you can roll them around there. You can go at an angle. And I'll just pick a couple of different ones, the same. They don't even have to be the same size. And then for this, I'll just probably be doing the 2. And I have the chipboards that we'll be using. I use to decorate my pages. So for this one, I'll just take, just to get that up shape. And then we can put these together. You can also just do one layer. Let's put a bead in the front. So that'll sit with the chipboard. So that's basically the different style of flowers that I'll be using inside the book. Like I said, because we need them to be a little bit flatter. And that first style I showed you on the big one, go ahead and make at least 2. You can make more if you'd like for the cover. And then we'll go ahead and we'll get started with the decorating of our pages. I have tons of flowers made. Might have to do more as we go, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Now, a lot of the things that I'm going to be using will be from the chipboard elements. And the first one I've got is just this little From My Heart to Yours to be on the first page. And this lace, which actually just came in, and it will be in the store. Now I'm going to have it let me push this up. I don't want it straight across. I'm going to actually have it down like so, and then you can just go through and decide, you know, which and what type of flower that you do want to use and where you want it. Now this, sometimes even though they come and they're pre-stuck, they don't have, I don't think, the best. So I like to just take the glue gun, or your glossy accents will work great. Just, whoops, hot glue this down, and we know it's secure, or with your glossy accents. And I'll do the same here. Now I love these. They'll be in the store next week. They actually have this backing on them, so when you do use your liquid adhesive, whatever, or however you like to put yours down. I like to use hot glue as much as possible. There is some space there. And I'm actually not going to be putting, you know, this down everywhere. I just kind of want a hanging effect. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here and there. And I'm just going to let that fall pretty much where it wants to go. And see, that way it'll still have a little freedom to move. And I think I just want to go ahead and Like I said, I made tons of flowers, and you did too. You just want to make sure that some of these you're going to have to go, you know, a little bit flatter, and then decide where do you want it. So I'm just going to put that right on top. And another thing to watch out for when you're doing your embellishing is it going to catch on anything? Still wanting to dry. Even with hot glue, so we'll hold it on for a minute. Oh, I put it in my drawer. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glossy accents on there also. Hold that down for a minute and make sure it's going to stick good. And like I mentioned, if you got the you know, chipboard embellishments, then we have a lot of these cute things that we'll be working with. But on that front page, I'm going to go just like that. Now over here, we have this belly band, and even so, I still want, you know, a little bit of accent here. So this is one of the, again, chipboard elements. Now when the chipboard elements, they are self-sticking, but when I don't want it to stick everywhere, like I don't want this one to stick in everywhere, and if I was putting it over here, I would probably peel the back off, but since I don't want it to, I'm just going to put some glue in the middle. And then just hold it down till it's ready. And like I mentioned, now I did do a few extra dimensional flowers, even though I'm going to have to pretty much flatten them, but you do want to check before you adhere it down. I like to check my page to make sure it's not going to stick on anything. So that was just going to go right in the middle. Now on this page, I also already meant to grab them. So I'm just going to use my favorite pearls. And you just pick these up at Walmart. Love them. And I probably should have done this first. But I had the flower in my hand, which is okay. Just going to line that edge. These are really great. They do stick really well. I'm going to add one more at the bottom. Huh. Sometimes they like to cooperate. Set him aside for a minute. And sorry if my head gets in the way here. Apart and just line that down. Now I'm going to just add my two strands together. These piece together really well. Still have glue strings. And I kind of do this when I'm decorating the pages. That's one reason it's hard for me to do, you know, the video a lot of times. Oh, that's going to turn nicely on there. Is because you do tend to go back and forth. Because I'm going to want this to match a little bit if I can. Grab another strand of the pearls. And just push them down. And there we go. And then I'll have my tag in there. Makes it really pretty, I think. This one's going to go here. Sorry, I just need to put these back on. And I really, really like all the little embellishments that come with the paper line. Well, it doesn't come with the paper line, sorry. It comes on their chipboards. I'm not sure I really like that. Well, maybe I do. So a lot of your decorating is just going to be your playing, deciding, do you like that there? Do you know, is there too much? So it's, again, I like to you know, do some of the decorating on, oh, see, that's just going to come off. So I'll do, you know, I don't always do the decorating on camera because sometimes it's really hard, to be honest with you. So this one's going to take everything completely off the back. Don't know why. So I'm just going to bring the glue gun over. You can use your glossy accents. You can use pop dots if you want it to stick up a little bit. And this piece had actually somewhat, you can see it actually had broke away from the other one. So I'm just going to make sure I have a big flower. And that's one reason too I like to, no, that does not go. I like to have a lot of different flowers because you never know what size that you'll want as you're going, or you can make them as you go. And we can go ahead and stick another small one in. And for over here, there's my little teapot. So we have some little tags. We can even add some ribbon and make some more flowers. Let's see what. No, for some reason it's just coming off. Place it down. And again, I need to check, am I going to catch? No, looks like we're not going to. And over here, I wanted to use my little teapot here. And dishes here. Or not teapot, my teacup. With the plaid, it just kind of looked like it belonged. Just gonna see if I can get this back off. There we go. Now, I really don't trust it, even though there's some sticky, so I am just gonna add the glue. Add it right there. And then in the middle of the plate, I'm gonna add small button, and I used one of the chipboard elements, then put one of the bling on there because I knew I wanted it to kind of give the image of a smaller dish. So see, it really comes together. And then a lot of times I'll go back and I'll look at it and to see if maybe I needed to put more on. Whoops, still feels kind of warm. And then again, do the colors blend in too much? There we go. This collection I think it comes with a lot of just pretty things that you can use for it to really tie things in. And this is gonna, I think, be one of those moments. Sometimes I'll be doing a page and I don't know. Do you ever have those I don't know minutes? And so I just got a piece of this left. Might need the yellow. So see, that's a possibility to use your ribbons. And even with my ribbons, I will go ahead with the hot glue, pop it down. My gun just doesn't want to sit back on the base. There we go. Make this up without it. No. For some reason it just wants to come completely off. Oh, and I just put it on upside down. Okay, let's move quick. Woohoo! There we go. Well, that would not have been too good. Man, I'm just having hot trouble with my glue gun tonight. There we go. It doesn't want to go back on the base. Just hold that down good and tight. Another one. Hold on those for a minute before I turn the page. And then again, when you have your tag in there, it really looks nice. Strings off. So, like I said, when you start decorating it, also, I close my book once in a while because I want to make sure everything's going to still be somewhat flat. I don't like when it starts to bulge. Now we also have, if you bought the collection, you have the sticker sheets. So this is also another one of the options, is you can use your sticker sheet. So it will help also if you're finding that you're getting a little bit thick with your embellishments. And so maybe you want to go with a flower that's not quite so chunky. And again, it will flatten out when you push your pages down. So you can always just squeeze them back up. And then I like to go back through to kind of see, okay, what have I already done on my pages That's our magnet, so I want to leave that pretty much just for pictures. And then we have another envelope style here to decorate. Sorry, burnt my finger. And then for this one, I'm just going to grab this large chipboard, and it's going to be adhered partly down. Let me take this off so we can put our ribbon on. Don't like that one. I think I'm going to go with the blue, and I don't want quite that crinkled look that we had once before. I'm just going to make it a little bit looser. Tie my bow. To decide which way it wants to go. Cut my ends. Whoops. Straighten it out just a hair. Now, because I do not want the sticky side, because I'm not going to adhere it all the way down, I am, and hopefully this one will work, I'm going to peel off the complete backing. I don't want the sticky backing. So I'm just going to take it right off. Should have done that first, of course. There we go. Now I can kind of get an idea of where I want the glue to be. Overlap that down. And then again, if you want to use any of your other flowers that you have, you can add those in too. And love the cordless glue gun, but the prongs can be touchy. And once again, I'll have a good sized tag back there. And then for this little guy, I do want to use the Good Morning Sunshine. And I'm going to overlap it so that you have to basically grab this to open it. So once again, I'm just going to peel off the whole thing because I don't want the sticky where it shouldn't be. And you can even do a pop dot, but check your thickness because you should be getting pretty thick by now. So I'm just going to in the middle of it. And make sure it's placed where that won't be a mess. So you don't want it to mess up. There we go. Check your back side. You know, I should have covered that with probably should have covered it, but I didn't. So I can get some hot glue down in here to the edge. Clean that off. And then decide, do I want a flower or do I not? I do. Okay, so basically that one's done. And like I said, let me move this over. I should have covered this back side. And I still might take some maybe blue ink and just go over it. So on this one, let me get out my heart lace. I really like this one. I'll just cut it off to the edge. Now with this piece, because of that sander, I'm going to use glossy accents. So I'm not going to adhere it right now on the camera because I need to be able to leave the page open. And what I will do is glossy accent down here. Let me just trim that off a little bit. And then I am going to go back. I'm going to add a pearl in the center of each one of these. So I'm just going to lay that there. Like I said, I want to be able to do that when I can leave my book completely open. So now our last page, I saved this piece for here. Basically just to bring the yellow in and to decorate it up. And with a permanent marker, and you know, it can be written on. I said that glue gun. And then my solid blue flower. I think. I don't know. No. I think I'm going to leave that, and after it dries, then I'm going to add, oh, maybe it is dry, 2 of the rhinestones in the blue. Up here in the corner. Gives it that look of being a brad. And then over here on this side, don't know where it went. Sorry, I'm just grabbing my cut apart sheet. So I'm going to cut this one out, and then we're going to make it look really old and wrinkly. So we'll get that one, oh, that one cut, or they're going to use this one. You know, I think I'm going to use both. We're going to use both. So, you know, so let me close my book and see where we're at. So yeah, you're getting pretty fat because we are squishing. We're squishing this. So we definitely are pretty much done with our flowers, because this is one I usually don't add this many flowers. And then we still have another little element that maybe we'll be adding. We may not. Oh, I think we can still add it. Yeah, we'll do that one towards the last. So I'll go ahead and get mine cut out, and I think I'm just going to go ahead then with that wrinkle and then the flat flower. Whoops, my little bead moved. One of the flatter ones, because I think the book is probably now full enough. And I'm going to have to add another bead because that one went off center, which is just fine. So I'll move this and I'll get that cut out. Put this way so I don't lose it, and then we'll get it all distressed and looking really pretty. We'll get started on the distress piece that we're going to make, and before we do, I was kind of playing with my album and it did look a little fat. So one thing I did, and you know, it's up to you, I just kind of flattened my flowers out because you'll need to. And then actually right here was where I had added one that had a brad, and I noticed because of the amount that the brad stuck out, it was really making my page fat. I mean, yeah, but too fat. So, and then I just went ahead and kind of straightened out some of my flowers. And then last night I had done this little piece and I did my glossy accents, and I was just going to put a bead here, but I decided I had an extra strand of those pearls, so I went ahead and just laid those down on top, kind of double layered it. And then this back side is where we're going to put this, and it's going, I'm going to put, and it's going to be all distressed and crinkled up, so it will be smaller also. And that's what I'm going to do now. And this is how I take these pieces and just dress them. So I fill my bottle, whatever I'm going to spritz with, and I do like my paper towel, and I'm going to spritz front and back. Now, the one on the cover, I did use, I used one of my glimmer sprays. So it will get on your hands, but I'm going to go ahead, and I need to spray. When I spray, I bring it over to my garbage can, actually. And it's going to be wet, which is good. And I want it to be wet and kind of look like a very distressed look. Now I'm just going to start, just like I did with my ruffles, gathering it in a circle, because if you just grab it in a ball, chances are you're going to get some tears, but sometimes tears look good. And I'm just going to go all the way around. Okay, so we have it now wadded up in a ball. And I unplugged my, there we go, heat tool. And I'm just going to take my heat tool to it. Now I don't want it to start getting too dry. You know, and that, so I'm going to open it just a little bit more. And then I'm just going to kind of open it some more and keep drying it as we go. And I do like to start opening it more, because see, it'll start getting a little bit hard, and if it does get really hard, go ahead and just give it another spritz of water if it's too hard to open, so you don't tear it. Okay, it's still a little damp to the touch, which is what I want. I'm just going to pull it out. And if you use the glimmer spray, see, it should be dry by now because of the heat tool. And you'll notice I do use ballpoint pens, and if you can find a good rounded one, I use them for a lot of things while crafting. Okay, now anywhere that it's damp, go ahead and hit it. And I'm going to go ahead and go around the edges. And just like when we made our ruffles, if it's wet, your score tape just is not going to stick very well. Now sometimes I'll go ahead and also do my edges before with the ink before I wad it up, so it doesn't matter, but it's still wet. go ahead with my score tape. And I was going to go ahead and do the little pocket with the toilet paper roll, but we're not going to be able to on this album because it just got too thick. So I will save that for the next one. And like I said, this I was going to add a few more embellishments to, but it's just, I've added too many flowers to my pages. So, and I didn't add a lot on my first album. I did more of the tags, and I wish I had taken more pictures, but the lady needed it so quickly. So for the next one, I'm going to do 1/2-inch gussets. Now I'm just kind of pushing it up because I want it, see how it's kind of sticking up there? I don't want it super flat. So that's why I don't have tape in the middle. And then you can go ahead if you have maybe a small, I wouldn't do a very, very big embellishment of whatever it is you're wanting to use because of the thickness already on our album if you've put this many flowers. So I'm just going to add a little flat one. And get the glue off. So there's how that will look. And I know it's kind of hard on camera to see, but it kind of gives it that really old distressed look. And you can tear your corners however you want to do with it. And of course, our tags are all done here. And we've got some expansion. So it will push down a little bit. And like I said, you might want to just go through and flatten your flowers. And they're still pretty. But the dimensional flowers do kind of take up some space. So over on this side, when I close it, then I don't want a lot there because I want it to close. So I'm just going to add a little bird cage that will match somewhat on the front. And then I'll just take a gemstone, put it right there by the bird where that one is. So I would definitely stick with, oops, sorry, I've got some stickers stuck here. I would definitely stick with your flatter embellishments for this, like your stickers. And if you did get the collection pack, you also have lettering, so you could do lettering. So here is the inside of your album then, and I just need to go back and do some more of the tags, just cover them. And because of the thickness again, I won't be using a lot of ribbon, but we've got plenty embellishments here to dress this album up. Really neat different pages. Lots of pictures will fit in this album if you start counting. So there's plenty of room. So now we get to move on and let's do our cover. Okay, let me just move some things around here. And you still, if you have a heat gun, will need your heat gun. Okay, now for our cover. On this one, so I'm going to do it similar. I'm not going to use the birdcage paper, but I'll show you how to cut it. It's very simple. You're just going to use one sheet. You'll cut upside down so you get one on here and one on there. I'll still use the birds. Love the birds on the back. And I'm going to use from this same cut apart sheet that came with your extra papers. I used Dream on this one. I'm going to still use Dream, but I'm going to back it with this one that was, I think, next to it on top, so I get more of a yellow because I want to use the plates and bowls. So I do want to add a little more color with it. Then I have the doily behind, and then we have all these flowers that we made, and then the key if you bought the kit and these corners. Now I had just went ahead and thrown this on kind of at the last minute. I really liked it. So I'll probably use something else on this side too. And then this was one of the chipboard elements. So you can choose which one you use. Since I've already used that, I will pick a different one once we get there. So let's get started with covering our album. Now the first thing, there is a doily. There's that doily that I put behind there just to give it a little bit of layering, and that's one thing a lot of people have asked me, and I'm not really your expert on layering because there's a lot of good videos out there, I'm sure, but they asked me how I do mine. So I'm going to do the doily, and then I'm going to do the gold shimmer spray. And again, I'm just going to bring it over to the garbage. Spray it about 12 inches away, nothing a lot. Seeing it, it'll give it, but we're going to cover the rest of this. So ooh, there we go. Now on the doily, I do want to dry it just a little bit. Again, it'll get a little bit stiffer. And you can even crinkle it up, but see, it's going to do it kind of by itself. If you get your heat tool actually quite close, it helps with the wrinkling. Just don't start it on fire. I've heard of stories. See, it really does. It gives it that a little bit extra strength to it. So we'll put that aside with the flowers. Now, the album, I'm going to show you. I cut the paper 8.5 by 8.5, and then I just trimmed the bottom or the top a little bit. I wanted it to go edge to edge. So that's what you're going to do. And let me grab that. Actually, that paper design. So here's that paper design. And this is how I cut it to get the two pieces. So once you cut this at 8.5, it will leave you this enough right here to go on that 3-inch flap. And then you'll just want to cut 8.5 across. Now, when you do that, how did I do that? Let me go ahead and cut mine just so I can make sure. Oh, okay. No, that was right. Okay, there we go. I was thinking. So cut that 8.5, and then see, you'll have the perfect piece left for your other side. So that will be yours. I'm going to go ahead with this one. Or you can do whatever you're choosing to use. And I'm going to go ahead and cut my birds for my back. Again, I'm cutting them the full 8.5 by 8.5. I'm going to cover my back first. We don't want to be trying to push it over after our front is decorated. So I'm going to check. And it should be just a hair too long, but fit in perfect. So you'll know to trim that top off. Then you should have a perfect fit. And then on the back side, I did add the pearls. Or you can use a piece of lace, anything that you want to add. When I do my covers, I do use my wider score tape than my 1/4 inch, just because it's my it's my cover, and I really like to get it to the edge because I've had a lot of people say my covers are lifting. Well, you do need to get that tape cover to cover, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't trust anything but the score tape to my covers or to the construction of my album, period. Now you do, like I said, just get it as close to that edge as possible. And every time I start recording again, I forget to grab something. My phone goes off. Let me grab these. So I've been using, and you'll see it more and more in videos, since I brought in the score tape in sheets. And I love it. I think it really does save money. It saves my score tape. Now I'm just going to place one piece down in the middle. And I only use these in the construction of my album. So when I made my album cover, I was using the 8.5 by 11 sheets. And for $1.85, yes, I used 2 of them. And that's about the cost of a roll. But then see, I've got a lot more use out of my roll. And I know my cover, everything's going to be firmly down and it's not moving. And again, if you're mailing this, if it's an order or, you know, a gift, you certainly don't want it to fall apart. You want these to last forever and ever as heirlooms with your family pictures. Okay. Make sure I'm not upside down. I've already done my backward closure. And I'll bet you're excited that I finally am getting to the point where we're finishing up this album. And I'll have to admit, decorating is not my strong part of videos. So I'm also going to take this opportunity and I'm going to cut my strands off. Now that I know I don't want them to be, you know, that long. Right there. So I cut those down. Now we'll be adding my cover. I need to take some of that off. And then over here on this side, no, I think we'll go ahead and stick. I think I'm just going to use this opposite side. One reason they're going the wrong way, but this is going to add some of the yellow to it, and then I can add some of the chipboard elements. This is why I told you I'm terrible at the decorating part. I changed my mind, so I did change my mind. I decided to use the back side of the bird cage for my flap. So let's go ahead, and if you're going to ink your edges, and we'll go ahead and just get them all done at once and put them on. Once again, I'll grab one of my 6x6 sheets. And right now I have tons of the 8.5 by 11 in. I ordered like a case. So if you do order the 6x6s, you'll just need to give me about 3 days to bring more in. They can't keep them in stock. So I do have more on order, and I've got to order more. They are wonderful things, especially if you want to make your own glitter stickers or you know, some of your own embellishments. These big sheets are great, and then you can just cut them out and you have your own sticker. Okay, get everything removed. Now, on those magnets, I like to just go around where I know there's tape. Okay. And then we'll double check. This does give the album quite a different look. Now, I'm not going to cut one of my 6x6 sheets for this. I'll just go down the middle. turn it so I can get everything pretty much lined up. And then see, I also went on both sides with the pearls. Okay, so let's start with our first piece because we do want to get it crinkled and drying. And that's going to be our dream. And we're going to do the same thing. Let me grab my paper towel. I'm going to trim that off just a hair so I don't have that wide edge. Even though it probably won't show. And I'm going to spray both of them. But not with my glitter spray. And that's perfectly fine because I actually did glitter this one up. Let me just, but not till usually after because then it gets all over your hands. But it will be just fine. So once again, we're going to work around. Make sure it's wet. You don't want any of those hard spots. Okay, once you get it there, I'm going to give this one a little bit of a crinkle. Probably not quite as much. Once again, we'll start the drawing. Now see, it tore, but I'm not going to worry about it because I'm going to actually, that's about the spot where I'm going to have a flower. So if it does happen to tear, just keep going. Don't throw it away. It just means it was probably too wet in that area. Okay, now my pen. Yeah, even these permanent markers have a good round barrel. So I think I'm going to use that side. Now this one I am going to be a little more gentle with because of my tear. But we're going to fix it two ways. We're going to have flowers over it, but we're also going to have a piece of score tape going right over it. So there, I want to just uncrinkle that. Now because I want to sort of mend it, I'm going to use actually a 1/2 inch piece right there. And then it's all fixed. Go ahead and get my edges inked. And again, it's still pretty wet in that corner. Do this side. that'll give me a little more color right there. And this is going to be perfect for holding the two together. So you just want to have a piece back there to hold those two down. Now, I did spray it with the sparkle spray, so I'm going to, once again, just hold this over the garbage. And we'll just let that sit now. And wipe my hands off. Okay, so now we'll need some more of either your blue or your yellow seam binding. And again, this is something you can pretty much prep the night before if you want it wrinkled. If you do not want it wrinkled, then just leave it normal. I am going to go ahead and wrinkle it. I'm going to get out my hands. And this is something too you can use these sprays for if you want to glimmer it up a little bit. So I just, once again, take it like that, grab an end, wrap it. And that's where you can leave it to dry overnight, or you can shoot it here. Whoops. So I'm just looking over at my chipboards. Start letting it unwind. Okay, so let me grab my chipboard, because in the bottom I did have a chipboard, but I'm really liking these birds, so I think I'm going to go with the bird, but I need something else at the top because I had the bird cage on the other one, so I'm going to use that one. And surprised I use so many of them. These, though, I am going to put up on the pop dots. You know, I'm not going to bother with those, with taking the back off. For some reason, mine just are stuck there. See, now I'll give it some of the dimension. And I'll do the same with the birds. And when it's these little tiny ones, I really do like to use the two together. I'm out of the big ones. And then I'll probably, you know, kind of wait, see which flowers I don't use to go there. And now we can go ahead and start working on the placement of where do we want all of our elements to be. And I don't like to stick anything down until I decide exactly where I want everything to go. And then, to be honest with you, it usually doesn't end up in the same space anyway. So I had one of our large flowers that we made, and everything will lay down once we get it adhered down. Right now we're sort of putting things where we think we want them. And here's where I took my ribbon, and all I did was make a double bow. And you know, there's different ways. You can just actually take your ribbon like such, or you can tie it. And I have cord tape sticking everywhere, sorry. Again, everybody has a method, and I just wind it because the hot glue will hold it. Or you can wrap it like that. This is just how I've learned to do it. And then you can tie it here at the bottom. And you kind of have to hold things together as you're doing this and just work it up. And it's not going to be tight, but there, get your strings at the bottom, because all I did was, as you saw, I made loop loop, and then I wrapped it and then tied it at the bottom. So my strings will hang at the bottom, and I'm not going to quite cut them till we decide where everything's going to go. And I am kind of working backwards on this album than the original one, because I did my cover a little different here. So it'll be a little off. And then I probably am going to have to make more flowers. I'm just kind of going by what's. I'm going to have to make a few more. We'll see here. And then you want to just start, you know, placing your flowers. Don't want to really cover that dream too much. And I just start placing them until I think it looks good to the eye. And everybody, you know, has a different version of what looks good to them. You want to move it down. This is just where you play. And I need to grab my key. And my corners. So somewhere along here I'll have a key. And then I'll decide, you know, what do I want there. Because that little thing will look like a handle. In fact, that looks pretty good. Corners and pearls. Now, that's right, we need to go ahead and lay our pearls down. Those are the wrong ones. So once again, I'll just remove them. And I'm just going by the paper for my guide. Start where it starts and end where it ends. Push that one right up. And then I do want pearls on this side. And I love that these pearls are together, but you can just pull them apart. And I mentioned earlier, but this is, I get these at Walmart. Just in their scrapbooking area. They're the only ones I have found that really stick. And I just need another package. Sorry, I just have to come over here to grab them. They really stick, and they're always yellow. I mean, they're never yellow. They're always the white. These are the bigger ones. And they are made by EK Success. No, sorry. because they also make the bling sticks. They're Jolie's. Oh, they are EK Success brand. Sorry. They have all kinds of different bling in Walmart, believe it or not. Well, it looks like I'll have to do those later, but I have to go get some more. Okay, and that's no problem because I'll just add them here. So now I kind of have an idea of where to stay away. I do use my glossy accents on these, so I'm going to do those actually very last. I don't like to have to be working when it's glossy accented because they move too much. But I am going to lay it down in the general area. Where the corners are. I'm just going to start straightening things up. Like I said, this is a little different than the other album because I'm working backwards. Okay, and I'm just going to lay mine out for you so you can have a general idea of when you're layering. You just start layering, you start deciding. Cut my, I'll cut my strings a little bit later, and I think we're going to have a little bit of a different look on this album due to the backwardness, because you can see I had this down, and then I just had the large and the small, and then the very small, and then I did cut another piece of paper and just laid it underneath, but that's where this will come into play. So it was just for a layering effect, and I wadded it up, so you can do that on yours too. And then the key went down with one of the blue tops. And that's all you have to do when it comes to making your cover and deciding, you know, what do you want, where do you want to go where. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not really sure on this album, so I'm not going to adhere anything down yet. I actually am going to be making a few more flowers to see, like I said, because I'm working backwards, it feels really weird. So there is your your cover, and it was an awful long video. I apologize. Thank you though for following along with me, and like I said, I'm not the greatest on the decorating, so kind of do that hit and miss. Again, if you have glossy accents. Now if you don't have glossy accents, one thing I like to do, you can use your hot glue, but you're going to want to just scuff this up a little bit. When you scuff it up, it just seems to dull it somewhat, and then see, it's not as shiny, and it'll stick a little bit easier. So if you want to use E6000, glossy accents, whatever, I just scuff the back up, put it down, and you're good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this album tutorial. It was a long one, longer than my usual, so we'll have another one again in February, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching.